What's going on, everybody? I'm Primalliquid, and we have some exciting news that came out yesterday. So, well, technically yesterday from when I'm making this video. Anyway, basically, Square Enix have partnered up with Forever Entertainment, another game developer who is responsible for, well, the previous Panzer Dragoon remake. And if you did not know, the news broke that they are partnering up so that they can actually remake / remaster. That part isn't quite clear just yet. We don't know whether they're going to be fully remaking or just remastering. However, they are going to be working on some Square Enix IPs. Not only that, we can actually try and deduce a little bit about what games they're going to be working on, because so far that hasn't actually been announced yet. However, what we do know is the IP in question has multiple games in its series, so it's not just like a one-game IP or anything like that. Not only that, we also know that Square Enix does Final Fantasy themselves. They will not outsource a Final Fantasy remake or remaster, because at the end of the day, Final Fantasy is Square's moneymaker. You know, they're not going to risk the franchise on a third-party developer. So I think it's very safe to say that it's not going to be a new Final Fantasy remake or remaster, unfortunately. You know, it is a little bit of a shame, but you can certainly understand why they would not actually outsource that. However, what about the other IPs that Square own? Now, we can actually try and deduce a couple of the games that it can be here. First of all, it needs to be old enough to warrant a remake or remaster. Not only that, it also has to have multiple games in its series. And of course, it would need to be profitable for Square to allow this to happen, because they're actually going to be giving Forever Entertainment 60% of the game revenue. So it's quite a lot, you know, it is quite a lot at the end of the day. Granted, Forever Entertainment will be doing all of the work on the game, so Square's only going to be making the money simply due to the fact they own the IP. But what about the games in question? Well, a few of the more popular games that Square own the IP for that, you know, could do with a little love for the older games. Now, a couple of them are things like the early Tomb Raider games. You know, you've got the early Tomb Raider trilogy, but that has technically had a couple of touch-ups in the past. You know, we have had re-releases of the original trilogy and things like that. So I would say the Tomb Raider trilogy is sort of at the bottom of the list. Plus, I don't know if Square actually own all the rights for that, because I swear it was Eidos Games who originally made the original trilogy. So Tomb Raider, a little iffy. However, some of the other games are quite possible. One of them is, in my opinion, a very strong bet as well. So we have things like Legacy of Kane. Now, if you don't know the Soul Reaper series, it was very, very popular back on the PS1. It sort of died off on the PS2 though, and then was never really heard from again. So, you know, breathing some more life into that series, it might work. It did have quite a good following when the games were fresh. You know, the following of it was quite large, and quite a lot of people do like the Legacy games. Will it happen? Unsure. It's been that long now, I really don't know. However, there are 3 game series in particular which I find to be a little bit more lucrative for Square to allow somebody to remake and remaster. And we have the Chrono series, the Star Ocean series, and even, well, I say even, the most likely of them all, Parasite Eve. Now, I'll come on to Parasite Eve in a little bit for why I think that's the most likely. For now, though, let's take a look at Chrono and Star Ocean. So, obviously, you've got things like Chrono Trigger, Chrono Cross. Cult classics, you know, everybody loves them. It's like, even I myself, I played Chrono Trigger for the very first time, I think it was sometime last year now. You know, I did all that on stream, had a blast, but obviously those games, huge following, so they would definitely sell if they were remade, but at the same time, that would be a very, very big undertaking due to the original assets. I mean, you know, look at how old Chrono Trigger is. It's a very, very old game, so there's going to have to be quite a lot of work on that. So I don't really necessarily think that would be a remake. Maybe a little bit better of an upscale job compared to the Steam release for Chrono Trigger, or maybe we'll get something along with Chrono Cross. Anybody's guess. Star Ocean would be easier to remaster. I mean, obviously, all this is contingent on it being a remaster. You know, for all I know, it could be a complete and utter remake. But Star Ocean it would be a bit more easier to remaster simply due to the fact, you know, the models are already 3D and things like that. So they would basically just need to upscale everything, maybe make a few new models, but it would essentially just be an upscale, similar to what they did with, you know, Final Fantasy 7, 8, 9, 10, things like that. So Star Ocean could be a possibility. However, they did do a remaster of a Star Ocean game a while ago. I can't remember which one it was. I think it was the first Star Ocean game. I think it was the first. But who knows? This could be them trying to breathe, you know, a lot more life back into the series. Because, I mean, even while Star Ocean 4 is my personal favourite, I know a lot of people weren't that keen on it. And then Star Ocean 5 dropped and... I don't know anybody who actually, well, I don't know anybody whose Star Ocean 5 is their favourite. Like, I'll just put it that way. I generally don't know anybody who likes Star Ocean 5 enough to class it as their favourite. So the series has gone downhill a little bit there. So maybe they're going to try to breathe some more life into it. Maybe, you know, maybe to get some hype up for a new Star Ocean game. Anybody's guess. However, now we move on to the one that I think is going to be the most likely, and that is going to be Parasite Eve. And the reason for that is Parasite Eve is one of those games that definitely had a cult following. It has multiple games in the franchise. Not only that, horror games are having a resurgence. And if you don't know, Parasite Eve essentially combined Final Fantasy and Resident Evil. It was basically a combination of the two. And for those of you who are wondering, Parasite Eve 2, absolutely excellent game. If you've never played it, go and try it. But yeah, so I think Parasite Eve would be a strong contender for a few reasons. Firstly, well, we know horror games are making a comeback right now. They've been pretty iffy for quite a while now, so we could do with a horror style game, add in the RPG element, and then they can secure the Final Fantasy fan base from there as well, because that was pretty much why Parasite Eve sold in the first place. Like, if you don't know, Parasite Eve was a very, very big seller. You had the Resident Evil fans buying it, and you had the Final Fantasy fans buying it, because it was the best of both worlds. So that's why, to me, Parasite Eve remake/remaster is looking to be the most likely, and also the one I'm most hopeful for. But yeah, obviously, those are only a few of the ones that I think it could be. You know, I mean, Square own a lot more IPs. You know, I mean, there's things like Gex, for example. My God, that was a classic from the childhood. But yeah, I mean, there's definitely plenty of options it could be. Chances are not going to be Final Fantasy, though. But we'll just have to wait and see. Either way, though, it is very, very good news that they are partnering up with a company who specializes in remakes and remasters. Just so we know we are going to get some pretty decent end products, because well, some of Square's remasters have been a little lackluster, to say the least. Anyway though, guys, that's going to be it for this video. Make sure you hit that like button and leave a comment down below. Let me know what game you are hoping they remaster. And of course, make sure you hit that subscribe button as well if you're new around here, because I'm going to be keeping an eye on all of this entertainment news for Square Enix. I want to know exactly what the remake is, and when more information drops about it, you know, I'll let you guys know as well. But as always though, everybody, thank you for watching, and I will see you soon.